What's up, visual listeners, and welcome to the Replayer Podcast. I'm your host today, Dan. Of course, with me is Pagan, and we have a very special guest with us today. We have Mr. Shaun Bolen from HangTime. Hello, and welcome, Shaun.
Not that special.
No.
Sadness. Hello, everybody. What's going
You're
on?
special to us, okay,
Special
Shaun?
to us, at least, Shaun. Can't speak for anybody else in your life, but to us, at least.
These two strangers who I just met.
Very two random strangers, the fake
Right.
Irish one and the American one.
Fake Irish.
Yeah, we were just saying I have wireless headphones, so we were doing our meet and greet. I went to the kitchen and I was thinking about how funny it would be if Pagan just like dropped her accent when she thought I couldn't hear her, and like I got really mad about it, but it's real. So
Unfortunately, he has not been privileged to catch me out in my act.
She
It'll
proved
one day
it
be
with all of
discovered,
the
but not by you, Shaun.
yeah,
Irish rolling hills.
Isn't
Well, thank
it?
you for joining us today, Shaun. I'm very excited to have you here. Yeah, you only just met us, but then again, you have a bigger, broader audience, and it's a privilege for us to be able to have you on and talk to us on our podcast. You're like,
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
nah,
no. I just now started calling our channel medium size. I called our channel a small channel for a really long time because in the grand scheme of like successful brands, we are absolutely tiny. As far as like in our space, right? In our average viewership is it's growing, right? So we've gone from like 180 to like 300 in the past year or so. But I've just now gotten like I had a little community feedback that wasn't very positive about calling ourselves a small channel. So I'm now like, we are
I
a
see.
medium-sized channel, right?
gotta change that verbiage.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you for having me. I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
Yeah, I just want to like point out that this is coming off of the fact that you did an interview with one of our contributors for the couchsoup.com with Rowan. So you actually spent some time with talking to Rowan, and he asked you and got to learn a little bit more about who you are and HangTime and that channel. And then you were so gracious to agree to come chat with us here on the podcast. And that leads me to want to get to know you kind of on a different level. And I honestly wanted to ask you, like, what got you into video games?
Okay, let's get into it.
Yes, exactly.
I think video games are just an easy form of expression, right? So when I was a kid, you had the Nintendo at Uncle Kenny's house, and he had all these weird games like Bayou Billy and Super Mario Brothers 3 and just a weird box of gray cartridges, and you didn't have them at home, right? So you just start pumping stuff in there, and I think the sense of discovery and the art of the cartridge got me into video games. I sound like really, really old, but like
this is all over Pagan's head right now. I appreciate all of this, by the way.
Yeah, I think like just like
Yeah.
like stupid art on cartridges, and it's like
Classic NES cover art and box art.
it's like surely it doesn't look like this, and then you put it in, and then it looks like crap, and you play it, and you form your own adventure because you have to fill in gaps. That kind of started it off was just NES and stuff, but I got a hand-me-down Sega Genesis from my brother when I was like 6, and he gave me The Lion King and Mortal Kombat on a Sega Genesis.
Sonic.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was booting up The Lion King. Of course, it was like my favorite movie and all that stuff. And I would wake up at like 5 o'clock in the morning before the school bus came so I could play like Lion King like early on. And then I would get on the bus and I'd get home, and that's like when addiction started. Yeah, it just kind of
Coke addiction?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
That is an awful young age.
The Coke addiction didn't start until a little bit later.
So you were like 7.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
A few years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the challenge of it, and just I don't know. I think it was just easy. I was like a real outside kid when I was young, like a big time outside kid. I take my Jurassic Park action figures and like go play.
Nice.
go play in the
Are you
dirt.
me? Because that sounds like my childhood.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah, maybe. But
I had the Jurassic Park toys. I played those NES games. Did the
I would
same thing.
I would
Mhm.
put my Jurassic Park toys and I would put them in a Tonka bulldozer and I would pretend like the dinosaurs were like shoving the bulldozer off like a cliff and it's like a dirt hill that's like really small.
Yeah.
Um, but video games turned me into an inside kid pretty quick. It was I don't know like why like genetically like it pulled me. But yeah, that was the genesis of
Do you have?
nope, no pun intended.
Mhm.
Oh, hmm.
That's
No
very
pun definitely intended.
The
That was very smart.
Genesis.
Well done. No, I have a question then. Do you remember a game that like changed you? Like do you remember a game that really impacted you? Was like this is where it's at. Was it The Lion King, or do you think it's something
nah.
else?
I think there was a video games are a especially like growing up, like video games were what I like looked forward to. You know, I
Hmm.
kind of just existed until a release date. Uh and even in junior high, especially I think every gamer like junior high is like the oh my god, if I could just get to the next video game release, everything's gonna be okay. uh but whenever there was a game called Croc when the
Mm.
PlayStation was coming out, and
Hmm.
it it was like it's like a really bad Crash Bandicoot, and you played as this alligator with a backpack who was running around. It was so cute, and that
I know it.
was like when the PlayStation was coming out, and I just like begged my parents for a PlayStation because I wanted to play Croc. I didn't want to play Mario 64. I wanted to play Croc because it was going to be the future of video
Mhm.
games in my entire life. So I think maybe the dopamine hit from whenever I got the PlayStation on Christmas and I got Croc,
Ah,
the like looking forward to it as well as the already like inset addiction from my Sega Genesis. That probably was what changed and like really formed my trajectory as a gamer. Then of
uh-huh.
course, it's like the PlayStation's out and then Crash Bandicoot's coming out. When's Crash 2 coming out? This Christmas Crash Warp's coming out. PlayStation 2, and then it just gets out of control.
Yeah.
But
It's still going.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, as we'll probably talk about on this podcast with
Yeah.
Elden Ring, it is still very much going. So
I feel like it was definitely a different time back then, though. Like when there was so much fewer game releases in like the
Mhm.
PS2 and 64 days, where like I remember having as a kid, it'd be like, "Oh, I really want Super Mario 64. I really want Crash Bandicoot for PlayStation." But as a kid, I have to wait for my birthday or Christmas, which
yes,
unfortunately for me are in December and January. I have to go all year
yeah,
waiting. So it's like that stuff stockpiles, and then I get all my games at once, and it's like, okay, these are my games for the year,
Uh-huh,
essentially.
okay.
So
yeah.
much different from now.
Yeah, I mean, now obviously there's just so many quality studios and so many quality games, and I hate it when gamers complain about like games being expensive and costing money because
Same.
it's the
Sorry.
cheapest hobby in the world. No, yeah, but elaborate. You just cut me off whenever you want. I'm a yapper, so um,
We've
We
uh,
mentioned that a few
fight
times, like,
people
here
to
on the
you need to
podcast, just, like,
talk.
for context. Yeah, we've mentioned that a few times, like, about how people are always like, "Oh, man, that game's gonna come out and it's, like, $70." And you're like, "Yes, and it's massive, and
yeah,
you can
Right?
spend 150 hours in there. What else can you do for that price?"
I
Like
know. And with Game
anyway, yes, go
Pass
ahead.
and all that, it's just like just shut up and play the
Yeah,
video games. Like, um, there was
for
a
sure.
time in video game history where the internet and myself was like, if it's not 30 hours at least, I'm not going to spend 60. I need $2 an hour for my video game. And now I'm just begging for games to be like 4 hours long so I can
Right?
actually consume them. So even from a time standpoint, the hobby is just like so incredible. I don't even remember what I was saying. But yeah, you were talking about Christmas and your birthdays, but it's the same kind of thing where it was like, um, cool. Okay, Christmas is coming. I want Jack 2 and Need for Speed Underground and Max Payne 2, please. And then you get them
These
on Christmas and it's like all year.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I think, like, there I haven't really had the same experience, like, I wasn't, like, a I wanna say, like, casual gamer or something
I
when I
didn't
was
mean to throw you
younger,
under
and
the bus, but I was just more the age difference, but you just got into it with PlayStation 1 more than, like, OG
oh, yeah,
Nintendo.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, but yeah, so I was kinda like a casual gamer, I'd only pick up games every now and then and play, like, half of them or something like that, but really, like, the games that changed my life were, like, from oh god, I don't know, I would say probably say, like, Uncharted or The Last of Us or something where I was like, "Holy fuck, like, this is something else, this is something I've never touched before, and I'm so excited." Um, so I think, like, I can totally relate, but when you're saying you're like, "Oh, I have all these games for the year," I'd be like, "How would you do you just repeatedly play them, like, a
Yeah,
lot? You just play
Yeah.
them over and over again?
yeah. I
Did that
mean,
not get boring?"
yeah. I mean, it didn't as a kid because our
Oh,
imagination would have to carry us, right? But
that's fair.
like Uncharted and Last of Us, I would imagine like those are such those are really benchmarks in a quality narrative.
Yes.
Um, and that you're ingrained into because you're controlling the characters, right? Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, like when I was growing up, it was it. I think I was just really bad at video games, but you would. I don't know if I really replayed the games either, though. I mean, like a game like Need for Speed, like I, g- I wish I had a counter on like uh, just like an internal clock to know how long I played it because it seems like I played it for
Ages.
thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
hours. I don't think I did. I think I played Max Payne 2 like once and it's like 6 hours, but it probably took me like 3 weeks to beat or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, yeah,
Or
true, yeah.
or
Yeah, it just took more time.
yeah, I
Mhm.
guess. And I guess I wasn't, but was I binging them as much? I don't really remember. But yeah, a lot of these games you're spreading them and you're bouncing back and forth between them. So
I think it depends on the time frame too, because like older games back on like the Super Nintendo, they were relatively short, but they were challenging. And we've discussed The Lion King at length on this podcast before.
mm.
I got
um,
it there for, my 30th birthday. I got, a little pack for the Switch. That's The Lion King and
Oh yeah.
Aladdin.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
That's an awesome collection.
back in the day for me, like my biggest games on the Super Nintendo were Donkey Kong Country and Lion King, and I played those games over and over and
Mm.
over again, like on
Mm.
repeat. And I don't know what it was about those games that they were just so satisfying that I could just play that game over and over again, and it was probably more because it was the only game I had. So it was the game I played, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. There's I guess the less choice just kind of would force you to r- to play the same thing. More than like play it over and over again, it would just be like to clean it out, like I would 100% like every game I ever got. Like I remember one time
Oh.
I
Mhm.
got like Crash Bandicoot 1. I'd saved up money for Crash Bandicoot and I beat the game in like 4 hours. I just like blitzed it. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I was like 10 and I was upset. I was like crying and I like went to my mom and I was like, I'm so mad at myself because I saved up 50
It's so
bucks for this.
sad.
I know. I was like, I saved up 50 bucks for this. And I remember I beat it in the time that I beat it in the time that I got home from school and before bedtime. That's how fast I just blitzed it. And
Oh.
I was like, I beat it and it's over. And I just wasted my money because it was only 5 hours. And my mom was like, okay, but did you do everything in the game? And I was like, I just
No.
like I just like I just like went back to my room and I looked at the save file and the save file was like 23% complete. And I was like, I'm glad you asked that question, Pagan, because it's getting me all these memories. But yeah, it
Nice.
was it was like Crash Bandicoot. It's super complicated. As a 30-year-old, I can't like remember how to do things in the specific order.
Yeah.
There's all this stupid. You have to get all the boxes in a level and
Mhm.
beat it in a certain time and all this stuff. But
The
that took
bonus
me.
levels and the little pretty girl faces, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So after that, it was like that took me like weeks and weeks. But after that, I was like, I have to go do Crash Bandicoot 1 now because I did the same thing in that game and that was even harder. And then when like Crash Warped came out, I just from the get-go, I'm like, I know I'm gonna 100% it. And then that kind of held my attention through like all the Jack and Daxter games and Ratchet
Wow.
and Clank. I would want 100%, at least like fun 3D platformers. I would want to
Yeah.
100% them.
Would you consider yourself a completionist now, or has that just is that a time issue now?
Mhm.
Not it's a time issue now. Like when
Okay.
like because the schedule is so demanding, whenever like a new game comes out that I really want to play, uh like when Red Dead 2 came out, just be like, hey, I talked to my wife and be like, this is gonna be I'm going to stay up late a
Long.
little bit. So just a couple of weekends. I need to beat this so I can move past it. Something that, it's really important. So like when Red Dead came out, when Red Dead 2 came out, I cleaned it out, right? I didn't 100% completion it, but I really took my time to see everything because if a game stays in my collection too long or if I take time off from it, I won't
Mhm.
go back to it. Like when Last of Us 2 came out, I was like I did that in like 3 or 4 8-hour sittings in like
Okay.
one 12-hour sitting because I was like, hey, first off, the internet's going to spoil this for me.
Mm.
Mhm.
Second off, it's only going to be 10 hours, so I can beat it real fast, right? Which
Ah.
is which it's 30 hours. Um, uh, so yeah, even when I played that, I really took my time to make sure I saw everything that I could at least on one run,
Mhm.
so I could at least get the catharsis of feeling like I completed everything there was to do. Because I know I won't have the time to come back to it a second time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair.
That actually makes me think of a question I was gonna have for you too. Is like, as a content creator, do you find it hard to consume other content? Because I know I feel that. Like, I'm
Oh yeah.
so busy, I feel like I don't have time to indulge myself on a lot of things that I would like to do.
Yeah, I mean, not on content. Like we're really good at my wife Chelsea and I. We're really good at like squaring away time and making sure it's like, hey, let's set aside time to watch this show. We
Mhm.
try to binge stuff to make sure we also sequester time away from that. I don't watch any. I don't really watch any streamers at all, like ever.
Yeah.
I watch people we raid. I watch our friends' clips.
Mhm.
If we are in a position to like hire, I would watch before we hired PETA, like I watched a lot of streamers. I was looking for more talent to hire onto the company. Uh Even though I kind of knew it was gonna be PETA anyway. Uh but yeah, as far as content goes, it's just the only other thing, it's also made me kind of I don't know if it's resentful or if it's just the knowledge of what it takes. Uh Kind of makes me like not want to consume content. I think I saw a tweet from Mr. Beast the other day who called a channel that was getting 4 million monthly views. Mr. Beast called it small. And he deleted the tweet like I knew he would, but
Oh, thank
but, but
God.
like but like as a content creator, like for instance, when I watch Mr. Beast and people are like, man, Mr. Beast is the best content creator ever. I'm like, Mr. Beast's production company is
Mhm.
like, I hope and I want to educate other content creators. So like just in this instance, it's like, I hope you know that like don't compare yourself to like literally the king of the internet because I promise you it's not just that
Yeah.
one guy. It's way harder than you think to do all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's a whole production company behind that. There's employees behind that. There's like a bunch of staff and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And I
totally
see
understand that.
like if he has like a video go viral, like as a content creator watching smaller content creators, or even like content creators in our community be like, oh, Mr. Beast is number one. I'm gonna do something like that on my stream. And it's like, oh no, you're not. You don't understand the production that takes. Don't hurt yourself.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's in the area of other content creators, that's kind of the effect is just like I'm like hyper conscious of like the work that other content creators are putting in and also hyper aware of growth of other content creators. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not supposed to compare myself to anybody, but I compare myself to everybody. Uh
But there is an element to that though, Sean, to be fair, because if you're a content creator on a platform, you do need to understand. like what is doing well on that platform. So you're
Yeah.
watching for
Mhm.
trends, and even if you're doing it subliminally, like with regards to your growth and stuff and what's working, what isn't, like there's a certain aspect of that can be true. Like, so I understand what you're saying, that you're just like, well, you can't compare yourself to somebody else's success, but you can take notes from
Yeah.
what is
Mhm.
successful on the content platform.
Yeah, it's very hard operating as a brand, and like the goal I think for any content creator is should to be an anomaly on a
Yeah.
platform, right? It's very difficult, which we already are as a group. Our audience is like super supportive of us. Like, there's not really another channel of our size in audience that gets funded on Twitch alone like we do by an
Mhm.
audience. Um, but it's very weird as a company with like multiple hosts and um, kind of bigger productions. I find myself constantly comparing myself to other streamers and content creators, but it's hard because these are just single people. You know,
Yeah.
I can't really. It doesn't make any business or growth sense to
Mhm.
compare like the brand of hang time to I don't know, like an Andy Cortez or a BB Jess or a Sorry TV, right? It's who I compare myself to now because those are like really really growing streamers, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, but it's very strange. It's like I can't even emulate what they're doing or their their content because it's just different content than we're making. You know,
Yeah.
it's
For sure.
it's not going to be the same. So I couldn't even emulate it if I wanted to, unless
Mhm.
I broke the brand up and we started personal channels, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, like what works for them may not work for you. Even if you did
Yeah,
Yeah.
emulate it, like
yeah,
you might only be stuck with like a lot
Oh,
less
yeah.
viewers than whoever
Mm.
is getting more viewers on that content. So yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense.
exactly.
Yeah.
They've fostered audiences that are there for the content they're creating. So it's like
Exactly.
you can't even. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
it makes me think of, like, when COVID first kind of became a problem and, like, a lot of people started, like, hunkering down at home, and a lot of people we know within our community were like, "Well, I guess I'm gonna start streaming."
yeah,
And,
Yeah.
like, I can't tell you how many people I've sat down and I helped kinda, like, guide how to stream, how to set things up, how to
yeah,
do the process, because a lot of these people had no idea. They're just like, "Well, I don't know what else to do."
Mm.
And then they're coming at me like, "Oh, what about this? What about this? I'm not getting any viewers. I'm not doing this." And it's like, don't you shouldn't even be worried about that. Like, it's
yeah. That's not
just
even.
like,
And discoverability on Twitch is just like through the floor. You have to
Yeah,
be active on social media, especially now
yeah.
with TikTok. Wow. I've seen some streamers grow so much and it's just from TikTok content. I have
yeah,
followed multiple streamers
Mhm.
on like through TikTok and then I'm like, "Oh, holy shit. That's how they did this. That's how they
yeah,
grew 5,000 followers in like 4 months because
yeah.
they're continually posting on other platforms."
My Twitch rep has told me that every time I'm like, "Hey, organic growth and scalability is like really terrible on Twitch." Even our Twitch rep will be like, "Hey, are you posting? Are you that is this
This
break?
doggos.
Oh,
Go
you guys
get
hear my dog, sorry.
go get him. Bring him over here. Oh, please. What's he doing back there? Is he handheld? Is that a handheld dog? Can you lift him
He's
up?
not handheld. No,
Ah,
my German Shepherd was laying right behind me the whole time.
okay,
That's actually one of
gotcha.
my other dogs
Dang
downstairs.
it.
Okay, I love dogs.
I have
Okay.
4 of them.
Yeah, he's lovely.
Oh,
Kate is lovely.
"Katie, come say hi." Yeah, he was laying behind me this whole time. He just
okay, I
got up
gotcha.
and went because he heard the other dog
Yeah.
barking.
Anyways, sorry. Even the Twitch rep is like, "Well, are you posting to other platforms?" And it's like, "Are you telling me to navigate away from
Your
your
platform.
platform?" Is it's
So bad.
but Twitch knows it has a discoverability problem too. So, but yeah, TikTok's huge. I think TikTok is like king of video. I think the second
Yeah.
TikTok was like, "Hey, everybody can be an editor," it was over. Like I
Yep.
yeah, YouTube just to me, YouTube feels ancient, like,
Mhm.
after TikTok because the way it drives the algorithm, the way TikTok can make anybody, anybody interesting. I mean, we're now watching plumbers who've never cut a video in their life edit montages of them pulling wash rags out of bathtubs, and we as viewers are like, "Oh, that's a good one,"
Yeah.
and just addicted to the content. and it's educational as well. I'm
Mhm.
like, I know you want to, I know we want to keep this a little bit light, but I'm very like horrified, but also like historically interested in what war could like will be like to watch on TikTok because that's where
Yeah.
it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, even
And
like
where it
with
is happening, like,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
lives and stuff. Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
exactly. To see a and because it's easier to post than YouTube, right? And it's instant,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
we're talking about like refugees are documenting the horror
Yeah.
on TikTok. Similar to like Vietnam, it's like that was the first war like that people saw because it's
Mhm.
television, right?
Mhm.
This is the first time something like this has happened, like on like with social media in a capacity to where every single person has an HD
Yeah.
camera now. It's not like like 2002 where it's like some people have flip phones and Blackberries and there's some
Mhm.
pictures.
Mhm.
It's going to be scary, but
It'll be live.
yeah,
Pretty
it'll
much.
yeah,
Like, it'll be live in your living room, and it's not coming through your television, it's coming through your phone. Your 10-year-olds can access it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah, there's
horrifying when you
no
think about it, and I
filtering for the
think
children kinda thing.
yeah,
yeah, and I think similarly, Sean, on the same vein of what you're saying, I'm also fascinated by the twisted side of social media where it will try and twist a story
yeah,
because it's so easily done now because
mhm,
anybody's an editor and anybody has the right to make content and upload old content,
yeah,
like old lives as well. So I would just say, like, if anybody is on like TikTok, really be aware of the sources that are coming through to your TikTok and what you are reading. Not that it's like fake news or anything, but what I just mean is like some people might be uploading really old content.
yeah,
Like to be like, see, everything's fine. It's
yeah,
not fine.
yeah,
And they're uploading old content.
yeah.
So yeah, just to be aware of that.
I know, like, even, like, during, like, riots and stuff in this past year, people be like, "Look at these terrible rioters," and it's like, that was from 1997, like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah.
Um, but I saw, like, a video on TikTok of, I think I saw it on Reddit, it was, like, a TikTok upload, but, like, this mom, like, caught a jet dropping a missile in their neighborhood. It was
Wow.
terrifying, and I was like, "I'm sorry we just digressed to
It's
TikTok."
fine. Yeah, go
All
Um,
ahead.
good. We're here for the
um,
tangents.
yeah, but it just hit me. I was like, "This is the first time in human history, if someone gets shot in the streets by a soldier,
Mhm.
they are gonna record that, and they're gonna put it on TikTok."
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
And it's
It
like and it's also like, how dare TikTok if they were to remove that at the same time? You know, I
Yeah.
it's
makes me think of the first time I ever saw, like, footage from, wars past where it was, like, these really insane over the top videos of, like, people getting beheaded and stuff, and it's
yeah,
like, it's so horrible and horrifying, but I can't not look at it,
yeah, and I
and,
think,
like
I hope it does. I hope that people documenting their suffering does good, right? Like, I'm
right.
really
Yeah.
I'm really hoping for because that could change stuff. Uh, I know this is weird. Just to kind of wrap this up, I was looking at of course I was looking up like nuclear war, and I was looking at the bombs in World War II and stuff,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of just looking at the political motivations for that. And I just in it, there was some information that like there was a picture of like a dead child. I'm so sorry to digress this,
That's
but
fine.
there's like a picture of like a dead child that had been caught in the blast and they were like permanently just kind of on the street, right? And that
Yeah.
picture hadn't released like until like 6 years after
After it.
the
Yeah.
bomb had dropped, right?
Mhm.
And when I saw that and then with that video the other day, I was like, "Okay, well, that's never happening again in human history," you know?
Mm-mm.
Like,
Yeah.
next time there's bombs dropped, it's from your dad, like,
Yeah.
recording it and then posting it. But
I think like what you were saying, just in terms of like it's happening in real time and that you hope that it would do good to show somebody else's suffering. And it has. Like
yeah,
it already has.
yeah,
Because if we didn't have social media, we wouldn't know that that was going on right now. We may
Yeah.
only hear about it 5 or 6 months later and be like
Yeah.
through the newspapers and stuff. So yeah, I think it is helpful, and it will potentially, hopefully, stop a lot of suffering
Yeah.
quicker than it could escalate.
Yeah.
Please fucking God.
Yeah. You can't deny, like, and I think it's the authenticity of it, right? You cannot
Yeah,
deny,
absolutely.
you cannot, like, yeah, I get that, these assholes can be like, oh, fake news, the media is gonna hurt us and stuff, but it's like you can't deny this 16-year-old girl
Mhm.
limping down the street with a bullet wound in her arm, right?
And
Like
it bypasses that filter of going through actual news that,
exactly,
Yeah.
they can skew that story to be whatever they want it to be.
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, for
Wow,
sure.
but TikTok's awesome. Yeah, I think
Anyways,
For promoting
yeah.
content, for
Yeah.
promoting like creative content,
yes.
it is a great platform. I would
Yeah.
agree.
It's such a good it's so good at making the viewer form habits.
Mm.
It's oh wow, that was cool. What
What else is on here?
Dude,
yeah.
like my husband gives that to me all the time because I find like like it would just hit my feed and it's a video and it's like the audio, right? I'm like, oh, that was dope. Let me see all the other videos on the same audio. And then I'd be
Uh-huh.
like looping this audio. My husband would be like, you've watched the same video like 60 times. What are you doing in here? I was like, no, correction. I've watched multiple videos.
Yeah.
They're just all the same audio. So it's just on a loop for him. So it must be
Yeah.
frustrating.
I'm so sick of oh no,
Yeah,
It's just
oh, stop. That got very annoying very quickly.
yeah.
But luckily enough, those trends are very quick to pass.
Yes,
It's
they are.
always
They
the
are.
new
Mhm.
trend, right?
But yeah, as far as content creators, that's just consuming content. I try to blitz video games, I try to blitz TV shows, and I try to square away the time for work to be selfish, which is what I'm doing right now for Elden Ring. If
Yeah.
that's a good segue.
Absolutely. Let's get away from the
Nice one,
depressing
Sean.
Yeah,
talks.
Do you
nice.
podcast for a
Segue.
living? Good segue, buddy.
Peggy goes, nice one, Sean.
She does that to me too. Like anytime I do a good segue, she was like, "Nice segue, Dan."
Yes,
And
yes,
I'm like,
good
"Thanks,
segue.
Pagan."
We love a good segue, guys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But right now,
I
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say just you were commenting on Elden Ring.
Yeah. So at HangTime, we have multiple hosts. It's myself and Grayson and PETA. We have a technical director, Chase, and then my wife Chelsea. She runs like business admin and all the important stuff, right? But I'm a huge From Software fan. I remember I bought Dark Souls like 3 years after it came out for like $5 on the Xbox store, and I was like, sure, I'll try it out. And then I remember about 20 or 30 minutes in, I was like, I don't like fantasy games, but this is now my entire life. It was like the best $5 I ever spent. I played it for like 100 hours and multiple playthroughs, and I've played all the From Software games and stuff. But on the channel, it's kind of weird because on the channel, Grayson has been the one to play like all the From Software games
Mm.
for the audience. So the audience, I used to play From Software games on my own personal channel before like HangTime was a thing, and I had like a streaming company and stuff. So I'm like the hardcore From Software guy, but the audience has seen Grayson be the hardcore From Software guy. So
Ah.
it was a little bit sad to like not stream it, but I kind of made the decision. I was like, Grayson, they're used to supporting you during the streams. They're used to watching you. You be that guy for them, and then
Aw.
I'm gonna take the day off and play it alone and just get. I'm gonna try to get as far ahead of him in Elden Ring as possible while he's playing today. I'm gonna be playing this afternoon and Saturday and Sunday, and I'm gonna try to get far enough ahead of him to where on Monday I can go into the office and then like host the stream with him, and it will all be
Ah.
stuff that I've seen. But it sucks because
Yeah.
Elden Ring is so non-linear.
Mhm.
I'm having to clear map as fast as I can and efficiently, because even if we played for the same amount of time,
You have
even if
completely different experiences.
exactly, yeah. Like I booted up the stream this morning when he was live, and Kelsey last night, she suggested I use a key, like a limited key that you can get at the beginning whenever you make your character. And it took me on like a 2-hour diversion, and I was like, shit, Grayson's not gonna do that, right? When he plays. So now after I'm done with business today, I have to have to go and be
You have to
like,
try and like make up the 2 hours you lost. Well, you
exactly.
didn't lose, but just enjoy.
Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
funny putting it into that kind of context because it makes me think about how, like, I love survival horror games,
Mhm.
and I'm not very interesting to watch play survival horror games, but Pagan, on the other hand, is extremely entertaining to watch play survival horror games, even though she has no knowledge of them.
It's because I'm scared,
Yeah,
Sean.
of
It's
course.
because I'm absolutely fucking terrified out of my goddamn mind will shit my pants scared.
Yeah.
Out of
Yeah.
any like horror game at all. So and
I
I've
play
actually never
horror
played a
games, and I'm just like,
soccer game.
that was gruesome.
Yeah.
Like, kind of the running
Yeah.
joke that I'm dead inside.
Yeah,
Mm.
you gotta put the scaredy cat in front of the games,
Yeah, like,
right?
when
So
we first met, I was like, "Peggy, you need to stream horror games." She's like, "But I hate horror games." I'm like, "That's why you need to play them on
Yeah, and I
stream."
have like
yeah.
a whole shtick now, and that is my shtick. I will play horror games, and I'll do it on my own channel. And I haven't streamed it in a while. The last time I did it was Resident Evil 7 and 8 for charity.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm like, if I'm gonna fucking suffer, someone's gonna benefit from this, and it's going to be charity.
Yeah.
So I would run it that way. But yeah, it's fun. It is. I have to say, the horror game is fun. But the anxiety that I get filled with, even before I'm recording something or before I go live and I'm holding the controller in my hand and I'm hearing the menu sound, I'm like, "Oh my god,
Uh-huh.
why do I do this to myself?"
Yeah.
Like, I really don't want to play this.
Have you done horror VR
Um,
yet?
no.
It's the
No.
worst.
Yeah, and I got an Oculus Quest 2 for Christmas.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
very excited about that. But no, I have not yet delved into horror VR. That is
Yeah.
something that I was like, no. But to be fair, I've said it like for a very long time. I was like, I will never play Resident Evil 7. I will never play Dead Space. They're far too scary. Like it's just never happening.
Uh-huh.
I have now
Now that's a
played.
Yeah.
real thing.
I have played
Yeah.
Resident Evil
Now you have.
7 and Resident Evil 8, and I am currently through almost half of Dead Space.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
so looking
Terrifying,
forward to her playing
but
Dead Space
everyone
2.
says the same thing. They're like, "But have you played Resident Evil 7 in VR?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, why would you do that to yourself?
It's
Why
really
would anybody do that?"
there's a PlayStation 4 game called Paranormal Activity, I think, where you have to wander around an entire house, and it's kind of like the beginning of Resident Evil 7, right?
Mhm.
It's very confined, but that makes it real. And at the end of the game, I was playing in VR. I was absolutely horrified, and we had jump scares on, of course, to where I had the headphones on, to where the audience would donate, and it would be like a loud scream. Uh,
Yeah, that's got me a few times.
yeah. But I remember in VR, I was there was a monster or like something coming behind me, and I was walking away. And in VR, I ducked down and I looked between my legs because I was curious if the game actually programmed it to be on screen if you couldn't see it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
uh,
actually tangibly there.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I was just curious about the tech of the VR, if it was like, if it would process it if you weren't looking at it. So I just looked between my legs, and it was like coming at me, and I was like almost fell over. But VR is absolutely terrifying.
I'm so
Yeah,
excited to
no.
play VR and VR horror games because I haven't gotten a VR headset yet, and I love horror games to the point where, like, because it's so hard for horror games to actually scare me, that's, like, my challenge whenever I play a
Mhm.
horror game, like, I want this game to scare me, and it happens from time to time. The last game that got me really good was Phasmophobia. The first time I ever played that game, like, it was like I full on, like, shrieked,
Yeah.
like, "That doesn't happen."
Mhm.
So, that was a big deal, like, this game, like, actually scared me, and it actually, like, I'm able to go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
But
The Quest 2 is like incredible. Like,
Yeah.
that is so, it's so different. It's the first time I've ever really been like, this is VR. It's just not having the setup is easy, turning around is easy. But
Mhm.
Resident Evil 4 on the Quest 2 is it's so, it makes regular Resident Evil 4 like a piece of shit. It's like
yeah.
not even, you like never want to play it again unless you're playing it in VR, because in VR it, it you you know, in RE4, like you knock somebody over and like you're like kind of clumsily and you aim down. In VR, you kick
You're
somebody
super
over and they're
precise.
on the ground and you're like, you just shoot them in the head a couple of times, right? But the way that game is programmed is really cool. Like the way the reload is really neat with the guns and stuff. But
Hmm.
um, it's not very scary because of how easy it is.
You
Hmm.
would say that, Sean.
Uh, no,
I will
no,
still shit my pants. I can't
yeah,
tell you this enough. Like, it doesn't need to be difficult. I will still, yeah. Yeah. It's
I,
still scary for me.
I
But
think I
I get where you're coming from on that, Sean, though.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing like if the quest really gets a library of like old classics that could really
Mm.
benefit from it. But
'Cause I think that's what pays a lot of, like, tribute to the old classic Resident Evils and similar survival horror games is, like, the chunky controls is what kind of adds to the horror because you're slow to react. You can't just, spin around, bang, bang, bang,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
that builds that tension.
I think
Yeah.
Resident Evil, since it's more of a Resident Evil 4, at least, since it's more of an action game, it lends itself well. I don't know if I would want to play. I might play classic Resident Evil 2 in VR. I don't know if I could
Mm.
handle playing RE2 remake in VR. That'd be crazy.
RE2 remake in VR sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
No,
that's
thank you. I will
yeah,
pass unless we're raising money for charity. Then
yeah.
maybe.
That's a good charity stream for you if you
Yeah.
want RE2 in VR. RE2 in general is like one of the greatest games ever made. So
Yeah, that's absolutely one of my probably my favorite games ever made, and I actually was gonna ask you that too, if you have a favorite game. I know you're pretty passionate about the, FromSoft games.
yeah, I think I think my top three, San Andreas is my favorite game.
Oh, wow.
Hollow Knight is probably my second
Ooh,
favorite game. Bloodborne is probably my third. And Last of
nice.
Us, Last of Us 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, Dark Souls, Final Fantasy
Mm.
7, Final Fantasy 15, Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 7. I'm big into survival
Yeah.
horror and I guess spooky stuff. I didn't really
You
realize,
didn't
but
think about it until right now, right?
yeah, but
Just
like
like, oh yeah, I guess.
Hollow Knight and Bloodborne. I think it's just the sense of wonder is what's really important for me. Hollow Knight is
Mhm.
man, Hollow Knight is just like just a perfect game.
So good. So
I
good.
don't
I've not played it yet. I
I
actually
think
haven't ever played any of the From Software games, but I
Mm.
played recently for a video for content. I've just done like the first maybe hour and a half of Bloodborne.
Mm.
Um
I was gonna
and
ask if you've played anything yet, Pagan, so
no, and
good to
and
know.
and that's just it. Like I totally get it. Fucking brutal game.
yeah.
Brutal. But like so good. I very much enjoyed it. So I hopefully I'll make more content on that. But yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah.
I love
It's a
Bloodborne.
good game. I can understand why there's such hype now for like Elden Ring. Because if it's just like if that was just like say the hour of Bloodborne, I can understand then you've got a whole fucking franchise like of Demon Souls and Dark Souls and fucking everything and Sekiro as well. And you're just kind of like, well, I get now why people are so in love with this company and why
Yeah.
they want to play it.
It's like very consistent. I think what's awesome
Mm.
about content creation is we've played Bloodborne like 6 times on the channel now and
Ah,
um we have a new hire in PETA, so when he came
Yeah.
on we were like
Making
that
Peeta play Bloodborne.
yeah, and he hadn't played any of them. So and people love to
hmm.
watch people play those for the first time.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Because they want to do anything they can to relive a first playthrough
Yeah,
of that.
Mm.
And I think vicariously through watching streamers, like
especially for something
anybody.
they're
Yeah.
passionate about. Yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
I've done that on my personal channel too, where I've had, my girlfriend Brandy play Resident Evil. Like, it was her she's never played those games before, and she's just like Pagan, like, terrified, pisses her pants from horror games, even the
Yeah.
original, like, 1996 Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And then now, on our channel, we're looking at doing a stream where I'm gonna have one of our, um, creators play Inside for the first time, and I'm just kinda like,
Yeah, those are really fun because they're bite sized as well, like Inside and Limbo, and to
Yeah,
watch. Those are great games to stream too because they're bite sized and watching.
people's first time reactions.
I think I've watched 4 different people play Limbo that are like my friends because it's just like I know they're gonna make this really stupid mistake, and it's just funny. I like in Limbo. There's this one like very early on. It's like the first obstacle. There's grass, right? But it's all black scenery, and you can see a bear trap, right? But if you
Mhm.
weren't playing the game and you weren't looking out for it and you didn't know it was there, you're gonna run into it. You have no clue. And
That's
people
sad.
that and people that don't know how violent the game is either,
Yeah.
this kid gets his head chopped off and it's like really gruesome. But the voyeurism of, oh, he's gonna walk over it. It's gonna be so
I did
funny.
that for years after Limbo came out. After I beat Limbo, every time a friend came over I'd be like, "Have you played Limbo?" And they go, "No." I'd be like, "You are now."
Because we can
And
do it
it
in 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like watching a
Oh.
movie. It's not like I think now I can beat Limbo in like 45 minutes because I've seen it so many times. But yeah,
Oh.
it's like a fun evening that you can spend without
Yeah. And
you can
just
get a
that,
full
like
game
you said, you're
experience.
sitting there like, "Oh, he's gonna do it. Oh," like, "Let's see how they
Yeah.
get through this." And people like because it always takes a little time for their brain to, like, wrap around what
Yeah.
that game is doing. So, there's always that shock and awe moment, like you said, you see the boy get his head chopped off, and you're just like
Yeah.
and you're sitting there like, "Yes!"
Yeah. And then you can also like self-validate and you're like, I'm so much smarter than my friend. What an idiot.
Yeah. He can't figure out this
Yeah,
puzzle. What a loser.
yeah. And you can say like really dismissive things like, didn't take me 6 tries to beat that, but I guess good job. It's just-
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
that's funny. Like, it's interesting to hear that because like anytime somebody came over to my house, like they would say something like, why do you like video games or why do you play video games and all this kind of stuff?" And what I would get them to play is the opening of The Last of Us.
Oh
Just
yeah.
the and I'd be like,
Yeah. What are your thoughts? What do you
it's
think?
gonna happen, and I'm like, what? Looking at their face, being like, are they gonna react the way I think they're gonna react?
Yeah.
Some people are very emotional about it, like really shook by it. I'm like, this is why I play video games.
Yeah. Gotcha.
It's got you. Yes, yeah.
And that's such a cool like bite, that's like a
Mm,
10, 15, 20-minute section that people like
yeah.
it's very easy to get a non-gamer or somebody that's not familiar to digest that and instantly like get them a rapport with the game. Are
Yeah,
you
there's also
excited?
a lot of like oh sorry, there's not a lot of like movement either. Like you're not trying to
Yeah,
like
you
shoot a
don't do a
target
lot
an
in the
awful lot or
beginning.
anything. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
perfectly good opening. Sorry,
Are
go
you
ahead.
excited for that Last of Us 2 engine remake of the first game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
hope
yeah, why not? It's more Last of Us.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's
What's
not
there not to
necessary, but I'll
like?
play the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it needs it, but I'm so for it, though.
I think if you I've gone back and played 1 after 2 and it has aged.
Really?
Yeah, it has
Do you
aged.
prefer to?
Oh man, I love
Well, the
2.
mechanics in 2 are
I
fantastic.
love I
So
love 2
good.
so much more. I'm so
Don't throw
glad.
hands, Sean.
I'm so glad they off Joel. It was like just the
Yes. I
I just
predicted that on this podcast in the past, and I got yelled at by everyone on the panel
really.
that day. It was great.
What?
I just
Flipping tables and shit? Yeah.
did
Yeah.
you not like 2?
No, it's not that I didn't like 2. I thought 2 was fine. I just way preferred the first one.
Mhm.
I have a lot
I
of
think
mixed feelings on 2 as well.
Yeah.
I think the issue with 2 is the length.
It's
Yes.
too
I
long for sure.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of there is a bit of bloat. I think the first one I beat the first one on that ultra grounded.
Grounded? I
Yeah.
think it's grounded.
Wow.
That is probably the hardest game I've ever played. Like The Last of Us 1 on grounded mode. It's way
Mhm.
harder than any From Software game because you have to be almost perfect, and there's
Yeah.
no of that radar stuff. But that made one is like 12 hours to beat on grounded mode. It took me like 30 hours. It was so hard.
Wow. Mhm.
But 2 is just like the only issue with 2 is I don't want to play it over and over again
Yeah.
because
It
I
kinda
don't.
drags a bit 'cause
Yeah,
it's so
and not just
long.
that, but the emotional.
Yeah, the
Like,
story's
Yeah.
very dark. I think it's not even that, like, for me, I think I prefer
I
the
also have
the
the German
narrative of the one.
Shepherd, and that's enough for
you
me.
know, like to kill the dog. You can turn the doggy killing off in that.
Oh,
Yeah,
can
you
you?
can, yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
It didn't really
Did
put
they
me
add
off,
that?
like and that's a horrible thing to say, it's not like I don't like dogs or things like that, it's
Whatever.
just that I can totally dissociate, like, and just be like, "Well, it's
Pagan.
the video," I'm like Sean's gonna be like, "Pagan, please,
He's
hates
a
dogs,
dog
confirmed."
killer.
Full hyperbole. Hates all
Yeah,
dogs.
rude.
Yeah. I
Don't
think
give away my secrets. We only sacrifice them occasionally, Sean. Fuck's sake.
Yes. I think I
Um,
think I think one with two's mechanics and its
It would
visuals.
probably be amazing.
I think that will be
mm,
an
yes.
essential gaming experience, right? I hope when they do it, they also integrate like full mechanics. I don't want it because they've already upgraded it. I don't want it to just be like the models are upgraded to Last of Us 2. I
Yeah.
hope what they're doing is bringing in the prone, the new weapons, like
The rope mechanics and things.
yeah, like the rope mechanics, and I really do hope they kind of go all out on that. I'm really hoping. Like I
Mm,
remember in Last of Us 2, there's this one part where I was hiding under a bed and I shot somebody in the knee and they fell over on the ground and they were yelling for help and then I shot him in the head. And
yeah.
I was like, that is the scariest thing I've ever done in a video game. Like, because that is what I would do if somebody broke into my house, right? Like,
Hmm.
and I really hope they bring that to one because as deep as one is, it's like it's more digestible and you can get that cool combat experience without having to
Yeah.
play that 36-hour game. But oh my
Yeah.
god, I love Ellie is so cool in Last of Us 2. Her character model at the end when she's got the tank top on, she's covered in
Hmm.
blood. She's like
Hmm.
fighting Abby in the water with the switchblade. Oh my god, come on, that is the good stuff.
Yeah, and the moment, like, where, like, she really does click and just be like, "It is not worth it." Like, it's just not worth changing your life over this. Um, I had moments of that. Like, I was like, What? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
Like, for anybody who hasn't played The Last of Us Part 2, go and play that and then come back to watch this so we can spoil it. So,
And you can watch
like, when
our
she's,
full
when she's
breakdown
fighting and then
episode of the podcast we did
I
too.
know. So like, when they kind of leave and they sort of go their separate ways, I was frustrated with you, Sean. Like with Ellie. Like, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Sean. Like, I just think like I've played so long.
Yes.
This was the whole fucking arc of this game. Is this like
I wanted more Abby.
revenge redemption arc for Ellie?
Yeah.
And this is how it ends, where she's like, you know what? Just go our separate ways. And I'm like, could have done that 2 chapters ago, friend.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
had to go to Miami. Like, it was like you had to do all this extra bit.
I
That's what
think
frustrated me the most about that game.
I think that the issue with I understand from a narrative standpoint, I would say that the Santa Barbara chapter was necessary. I
Mhm.
think that the bloat is in
Yeah.
uh but I don't really know where the bloat is either. It's I guess it's hard because I think it's important to show the military compounds with Abby. It's important to show the infrastructure they have,
Yeah.
and
The flashbacks, I would say, like with
yeah,
Joel, as well as Abby with her father.
I think
Mhm.
it's like and it is important to show everything that Abby does. It's important to show that Abby like I've talked about this on the channel a lot, but it's important to show that Abby like denies Owen love because she's so hell bent on revenge. Like she robs herself
Yeah.
of life because she wants to kill. She's like, I have to go prepare this body to go beat the shit out of Joel. I can't hang out with you with your fish, Owen, you know?
So does Ellie.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so reflective. Like, the 2 characters are so reflective of each other. And I actually, like, strong statement. I think I may actually prefer Abby in The Last of Us Part 2 as a character than I do with Ellie.
Oh, I
Yeah. Same.
absolutely do.
Same.
Um, but I definitely think like they're so reflective. Like the
Yeah.
fact that she has really robbed herself. And I know there was a lot of controversy being like, you can't get that body with the macros that she would have been on. And I was
No.
like, yeah, but fuck you. It's a video
Yeah.
game. Like,
Just
hop
shut
on
up.
board
Oh
or
my
get out.
gosh.
Like,
They were
fuck.
eating burritos.
There
It's
are
like,
zombies. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Not zombies, but
And
infected. Like, piss
anybody
off.
that's and it's like again, it's like, okay, well, if you played the game, you would know that they had the infrastructure to get those
Yes.
macros. Like
Yes.
you would know that like
It's
no,
viable.
yeah,
Yeah.
you would also know that she's been working on that body for like 8 years.
yeah.
It's not it hasn't been
Totally
like
plausible. Yeah.
yeah, it's like if you played the game, you would just shut the fuck up, you idiot. Um,
Ugh.
but I think it's tough because when in that moment, and it is so frustrating because you want some kind of commitment, right? And it just takes so much.
Yeah.
But I worship subversion. It's
Mm,
the game holding you hostage
Mm.
through the medium. You have to attack Abby as Ellie.
yeah,
The game, I promise you the writers know that you as a player don't want to be doing that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the writers would not have given you 12 hours of Abby to just to have you try to kill her as Ellie
Mhm.
without knowing that, they program that with the idea is like, oh man, the players are gonna hate
yeah. It
this
makes you
ending.
apprehensive. It makes
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
say, "I don't want to do this."
yeah. And then the fact that the devs, I personally think that choices in video games are like such a cop out in narrative driven video games. Not like in BioShock, I think that choices are stupid. Like if they want to tell a story and if they want to tell a really interesting socio-political narrative with this cool universe, like tell me what you have to say as a developer. Um, you know, but in like Fallout, yeah, give me all the choices in the world because I just want to craft my own story. But
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, and even in the end of Last of Us One, the fact that they don't say shoot doctor or just take Ellie and run. It's like Naughty Dog is like, no, hey, this is a terrible fucking universe.
Mhm.
Do it, player. And as you, the player's like, I don't want to. I think
Mm,
I am like very into that. I think that's the same kind of reason I love Red Dead 2 and no real spoilers there, but how it handles mortality as a game with its narrative as well, and it's forcing the player to interact with the medium more
Mm.
thoughtfully than just like I'm jumping from platform to platform. It's oh
Yeah.
god, my heart aches. Please
It's gonna
don't
be
do
more
it.
rewarding for you as a player after all. Like, even if you were frustrated with those choices or frustrated with, like, the subversion of that, like me, even though I'm frustrated with how The Last of Us 2 ended, I'm not like, "It's not a shit game." Like, it's really fucking
Yeah,
good. Otherwise, I
yeah.
wouldn't be
exactly.
talking about it, would I?
Yeah,
Like, I would've just stopped playing after 10 hours.
yeah.
So yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm not a massive fan of how that makes me feel in Subversion, like, when they're subverting my expectations, but can totally understand it and appreciate good writing and good narrative.
Yeah. I think
Go
it's
ahead.
just it's hard. It's hard when it's not a 10 episode series, and it's hard when
Yeah,
that experience feels like too big, you know? But at the same
sure.
time, it's like maybe a couple of chapters with Ellie you could have taken away, but like pretty much all of Abby has to be there. Unfortunately, um because they have to earn the kill.
You do.
I really think that if Last of Us 2 would have opened with Abby going to the Firefly hospital room and finding her dead father, I feel like we would have different fan
Yes.
discourse about it.
Yeah, I
Mm,
agree.
Um, I think that the pitfall with Last of Us 2 from I'm sorry, I'm just obsessed with this game. So
It's
the
fine.
pitfall of Last of Us 2 really is that it requires work that gamers, and especially like entitled toxic male gamers, they don't want to do.
Yeah.
They'd rather look at
yeah.
the screenshots and be like, Abby's weird
Ooh,
looking. Um, but I think if players had opened that game with her finding her dead father, it hitting her emotionally just like Joel's daughter's death hit. If they had
Mm,
played that up like they did Joel's daughter's death, it
yeah.
it would have given them, and then just have the game play exactly like it did.
yeah.
That
It
would
would
have
have been
been
a better,
fine.
stronger opening in my opinion as well, to have that same emotional weight going into it,
Hmm.
just like the first game started with Joel's daughter dying.
Yeah,
Mm,
and then from the get go, you know, instead of fuck Abby, she killed my leader. It's oh man, I can see why she did that. I hope this works out okay. You know?
yeah, right?
Yeah. I wonder what would have happened if they started the game with Abby, period. Like if they
I
just if
kinda
they
wish that happened.
yeah, if they would
Yeah.
have flipped it completely.
I wish that it had been marketed as an Abby game, and you
Yeah.
knew nothing about her, so it was
They
just
should have pulled
teased.
a Hideo Kojima and, like, made you think it was one thing, and then when it
Yeah.
came out, you realize, "Oh,
Yes,
no, wait, it's something
I
else."
Yeah.
that's totally how I think that that should have gone. Like, you should have started, like, as Abby, maybe in the compound or whatever, and you're on this revenge mission, and you don't know who it is until you run into Joel and Tommy
Yeah.
in like, that's where that, like, the game would have shifted, and you would have been like, "Wait a minute."
Oh.
You know? Like,
You know,
that's how I felt that narrative should have
yeah.
played out in my head, and, again, no
Yeah.
disrespect to Naughty Dog, you guys did an amazing job because they listened to this podcast, but
Yeah.
they did. They did an amazing
Yeah.
job, but I just think, like, for me, that's how narratively I would
And
done that.
even the interest is playing as Abby and hearing after you kill Joel and stuff,
Yeah.
and you hearing the without have playing Ellie's part yet, you hear rumblings like in the camp of like, hey, like somebody's been killing the shit out of us.
Yeah.
And like you as Abby playing the front half, you know that it's like, oh man, I'm gonna get to play as Ellie and do all this shit later. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Just the fact, but anyways, like they kind of do that the flip way. Either way, they do that.
They
It's
flip
just,
it. It's just that
Yeah.
we wish it was reversed. The characters
yeah,
had been
yeah,
swapped. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But that's I don't know. It's
No,
so
dude, I think like it's really interesting to talk to hear you talk about these kind of things. Like your passion for these games is so
Heck
strong. You're
yeah.
obviously a very passionate gamer, and you have moved into that content creating space. And I'm just wondering, like, when was that shift for you? Because I know that you started, I think, as community manager. Am I right for Screw Attack?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just we so I was gonna be a teacher. I was at university and I was about 2 semesters away from graduating with an education degree. And
Wow.
I had a death in the family, and it was like, and I was just like, am I happy? And Chelsea was my girlfriend at the time. I was like, am I happy? Like, nope. Do I want to do this? Nope. I talked to Chelsea and I was like, Chelsea, what do you want to do? And she was like, I want to move to the city. Let's get the hell out of here. When we just left, 6 months later, we just left. And
Yeah.
oh, hang on.
You got
There's a
Shrek. Hi,
doggo.
Kate. Hello, buddy.
Come on.
Oh,
He is
come
the
on.
cutest.
He's being camera shy. Come on,
Oh
buddy.
my
Ah!
god.
Come
He's
on,
my
dude.
best friend in the whole world. I love
He's
you.
he's a big
I
hugger.
love
He
you.
usually jumps right up.
He's
Come
my
here,
dog. Can I have him?
Come
I've
here.
never seen a response like this.
Oh my god.
Come here.
He's a
Kate.
good
Look at him.
boy. He
He's
is the
just sitting.
best boy.
I'll give you a
Sitting
close
there.
up.
Cade the podcast dog. He's
What
my
an
name.
asshole. Oh my god. I hate him. I hate him. What a dickhead. Oh man. So
What a
sweet.
cutie.
Oh man.
No.
buddy.
They're all
Fun.
rescue dogs, aren't they, Dan?
Yes, he's actually a
Yeah.
rescue, believe it or not.
A
How can somebody
rescue.
let him go? Look at him, he's lovely.
A bunch
Yeah.
of idiots. Let's just find
Right?
them. Put them in
He is
last
the most
too.
loving dog
Yeah.
in the world. Like, I think every day that we got him and then
Yeah.
we gave him a home.
Oh
Aw.
god.
Hit him right in the
I'm getting
feels.
emotional.
Oh
He's-
god.
But yeah, so we moved to the city and I just wanted an internship at Screw Attack. I'd seen them on like game trailers and stuff. And I don't know. Just after that, a lot of that job had nothing to do with video games, ironically. It was more about just
Getcha.
YouTube content creation and stuff. But yeah, I think it was just like a natural segue. I was already a gamer, so naturally I was like watching like gametrailers.com and stuff. So I think that's just happened
Nice.
over years and stuff.
Cool
But
beans.
I went to school for I have like an English degree in creative nonfiction, and I minored in creative writing and lots of lit crit and theory stuff. So I bring that analytical mind to
You
video
bring
games
that
a
to
lot.
your content.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
try to
understandable.
be conscious about it, especially since video games are so interactive. I think the reason that gamers are so toxic, and there's a lot of assholes in our space. No offense, audience. Sorry. Is that since
You
it's
know
an
who you are.
it's an interactive medium, they think that the game is theirs.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
it's
Right.
my playthrough. I'm this character. I am Joel.
Yeah.
How could Naughty Dog take me away from me, right? But that's what makes it really interesting, and I think that's why I like the subversion a lot, is because you can't get that from film, or
Yeah.
you can't get
Yes.
that when you're watching a film. You're like, oh man, please don't do that. And when you're playing a game, it's like, oh, I don't want to do this, but I want to see
Yep.
what happens. So just
Yeah.
hold you hostage. I think that's all really, really interesting
It
stuff.
creates such a
Yeah.
different discourse because of that fact that it's an
Mhm.
interactive medium.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's even more interesting to talk about analytically, because it adds layers to experience as well, right? So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
yeah,
it's just fascinating, like you say, like, especially with the horror games and stuff like that, you know that you don't wanna go in there. Like, there's something banging on the door in Bloodborne and in Dead Space, and you have to go over to that place over there, and you're like, I don't want to, though."
yeah,
Thankfully, with Bloodborne, you can go right, but, like, at Dead Space, you actually do have to go there, but the reward pays off. So even though, like, you have this hostage moment, the reward pays far greater than any sort of TV show or film or anything like that, which is I think why this is such a popular medium, because you have both sides of that coin. You have, like, this almost anxiety to be like, "No, I don't wanna do this thing," like, this I don't want to fight
yeah,
Ellie, or I don't want to kill Abby, and the reward then does actually pay off, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah. And
That's
it's
what makes
still like, well, and even as a lover of the game, I'm like, well, just spent 36 hours to get that, but I
yes,
guess
still.
it's
I
still
guess.
Oh, I'll go with you all day." I'm
yeah.
like, "Don't fight. Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
I
Pretty
think
sure
that's
I,
what
like, cursed Naughty Dog several times when I was playing that game. I was like, "You
yeah.
sons of bitches."
Yeah, but
how
even
dare
even
you.
then,
I know.
they kind of reward the player by it would have, I God, we're gonna talk about it forever. I'm sorry, but even when she gets back, at least Naughty Dog's smart enough to be like, no, Dina said that she can go fuck herself. Like, I'm out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'm taking the kid, you bitch. Like,
yeah, yeah.
it's like if she would have got back, and Dina would have been like, oh, honey,
It would
you're
have all been fine.
home.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
no repercussions for your actions.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I I think that they, man, the Ellie sequences with the PTSD of Joel, like,
Mm,
in the barn and stuff, what a great way of, like, showing why it's like, "Oh, why couldn't she just let it go?" And everything in The Last of Us 2 that you could complain about has an answer in
mhm.
the game.
Yeah, true.
Why does Ellie have to do that? And then it's like, well, she's hallucinating in the barn and
Yeah.
having complete mental breakdowns, and it's affecting her relationship with her wife. So
You just can't let it go.
yeah,
There's just
she's
no physical way that she could let it go. Even though
yeah.
you as the gamer are like, "Shut the fuck up. You have a nice house and a farm and a baby
Just
and a
stop.
would you stop? Like,
Yeah,
stop."
yeah. But
You just
I mean,
can't.
you can't fight trauma. It's
You
tough.
just cannot fix the trauma. No,
Oh God.
that's fair.
Um, God, what were we saying right before that?
Sorry, I was
Oh
going to
yeah, you
segue
you had
to
a
content.
really good point about the horror stuff. It's like, you're watching a movie and you can yell at a screen for somebody, "Don't go in there, you fucking idiot. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?"
Yeah,
And then you're like, "Well, the shotgun's in there." So
yeah.
I am stupid and I have to go in there, so
To progress through the story, I have to turn on this elevator, but it's in this dark hall, and I don't want to.
yeah, and it's waist deep
Like,
water. There's something in
And
there, and
when I hit this button, it's gonna make a bunch of noise and everything's gonna come rushing at me and I have to deal with it.
yeah,
no, I usually just press pause, and I'm like, "No, all right, I'll be right back when I've recuperated.
yeah. You can
I've got myself together." Yeah.
you
I think
can
that's
Fortunately,
what
force the
I
deal.
was
recently found out you can't do that in Bloodborne.
oh,
Had
yeah.
no
Oh
You
fucking
yeah,
can't
idea that
you
you could
can't pause in
yeah,
pause
FromSoft
that
games.
game. And I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna end it here," kind of thing, and I'm, like, pausing the game, like, "Oh, okay, I
Nope.
guess you can't pause that game," and then it's like, "Wait, you can't pause this game?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Why? Why'd you do this?"
I worked with
Um,
Sean Hines at Screw Attack. He runs Rooster Teeth's animation department now. But he had never played any From Software games, and I was hyped for Bloodborne, and we were desk mates. And always sit next to the person who runs the company, folks. That's the key.
important lesson to take home.
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
always sat next to Sean Hines, and I tried to sit as close to Chad James as possible when I was at
Words to
Screw
live
Attack,
by.
and they taught me how to run a business. So, um, but he would get he got the game and he would stay a little bit after work to play because his wife got home late and stuff. But I remember leaving the office on the day Bloodborne came out, and he was just like, motherfucker, you son of a bitch. Like, he was like so pissed in the other room. And that morning when I got back, he was like, fucking hate that game. I'm not playing it anymore. And he beat it, and he he like played every single From Software game, and
Mhm.
I don't
No,
know.
similarly, I definitely rage quitted that game.
Yeah.
I
We-
can't even tell you because I was like, man, I got so fucking far. And like I then was like, right, I just need to get back to that point because I would like to get further could never get back to that point. And
Yeah.
I was like, I've been playing this now for like almost 2.5 hours or something like that. And I'm like, this opening section, I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
this is
I
bullshit.
was
I'm fucking
gonna
not playing
echo
this
what you were
anymore.
saying too before about like that satisfaction level, and I think that's what makes FromSoft games so great is they have that risk reward
Mm,
factor. That,
yeah.
and we talked about this when we talked about Elden Ring a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, and it was that the sense of discovery that FromSoft games have, and that like, oh my god, here's this crazy massive creature that can eviscerate me in seconds.
Yeah.
But then like that overcoming that obstacle, that overcoming that difficulty is just such a massive like, "Wah!"
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
I don't
it's impossible, right? Until
yeah,
you beat it, and
yeah,
then
exactly.
you move on.
Mhm.
My
Um,
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
There's
I
no
was gonna move
mm-mm.
you on to a different topic, but you
No, you're
can
fine.
say
Go ahead.
no, no, you're fine. No, you go.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, just as you sort of like you dropped a hip like a tidbit there, you were like, you've learned a lot from being in Screw Tech to like start your own company and stuff. Is there anything that you kind of touched on it a little bit? You were like, sit next to the people who own the company. But is there any advice that you would give to content creators? Because there is so many in this community that we have that we're a part of. There's so
Mhm.
many people who are out there like streaming or making content for YouTube or writing articles and stuff, specifically in the streaming and YouTube space, because I know that is something that you do. Is there any advice that you would give to those content creators starting out?
I think one of I don't know if this is good advice or not, but one of the things I really like to tell people who say they want to stream or say they want to be full-time content creators is I like to address the gravity of the realisticness of it
Mm.
happening for them full time. Uh, so like my position comes from getting a 1 in a million shot because an email was answered as an intern, 3 years of posturing myself, saying no to huge projects and opportunities because I wanted to make something different.
Mhm.
Um, you know, 4 more years of, you know, 14 to 18-hour work days, being fortunate enough to carry over an initial audience of, 100,000 to a YouTube channel, um, fundamentally destroying that audience, rebuilding it from ground up, um, splitting ways with a business partner,
Mhm.
growing a brand, rebuilding that audience that split with that business owner, then rebranding, risking it all to change names, and uh overall like almost a decade in the industry. That's what it's taken for me to
Get
be
to this
full
point.
to be a business, right? Not
Here's your
to
checklist.
yeah,
Like, are you
not
ready to do all this?
what I didn't mention was like 4 different company acquisitions at like the AT&T, Warner Brothers level,
Wow.
also quitting Rooster Teeth, and also gambling on an audience instead of AT&T paychecks.
Mhm.
Like also literally saying, "Hey, I trust these couple of thousand people more than one of the biggest media conglomerate in the world." Right?
Mhm.
Um, that as well. I think the biggest pitfall, especially for young creators, is that, oh yeah, anybody can do it. I think TikTok's made it a little more possible. But to get to the stage where you have an audience that supports what you do, it takes incredible authenticity. Can't bullshit. It takes and one of the other things I like to say is it takes indefinite time for something that statistically, numbers wise, is not going to happen. I think it's really I think it's important. I'm on Twitch Reddit all the time. I see people that are like, I'm a Twitch coach and stuff like that. They don't tell you that this is lottery lucky to
Mhm.
be a full-time creator. Now,
Mhm.
I went because I went through multiple media companies, but to just say, "Hey, I'm gonna stream one day." First off, are you are you an elite gamer? Second off, who do you know that's already a streamer? Like, the only streamers I've seen really grow from nothing have embedded themselves in popular streamers communities, been a mod, been active in other people's chats, been a amazing community member, and then grow. And even then, those channels have, 25, 30 viewers, which puts you in 25, 30 viewers on Twitch. You're an elite streamer. Like, don't let anybody take that away from you, right? 10 viewers, you are absolutely crushing the game. You're already in the top 5%, right? Um, but I think it's a dangerous culture to get on the Twitch Reddit
Mhm.
and see people be like, I streamed for 14 hours. I got a viewer. What am I doing wrong? And then having just endless people say, just keep grinding and be consistent with your schedule and it'll happen.
Mhm.
Because statistically, it's not. And I think after the Twitch leak and stuff, you know,
Mm.
um, we were, we were on it. We were very high. Our company, we have a very fortunate audience. We were high on that list. Um, but what that people when that Twitch leak happened, people were so focused on how much money like the top streamers were making, and not the fact that like there's like a couple of hundred streamers out of 10 million Twitch users that can make a full-time living streaming.
Yeah.
And that should have been the focus. That Twitch leak could have taught the world something about
Mm.
the realities of being a content creator, or a YouTuber or a TikTok influencer. And again, I would say if you're trying to be a content creator, you should just go to TikTok. You should
TikTok.
just cut all the fat. Go live
Mhm.
on TikTok. Take build donations into your TikTok. Monetize your TikTok. Find a niche that is interesting. Um, but yeah, the first step is to say, do as a creator, am I willing to invest indefinite time? Not 40, not 40 hours a week, not 50. Are you willing to invest every single hour of your week? Are you willing to be a slave to social media? Because you're gonna
Mhm.
have to be to grow your
Yeah.
platform.
Mhm.
Are you willing to invest uh endless dollars? Are you willing to sacrifice relationships, a full-time job? Uh, are you willing
Job
to
security.
yeah,
Yeah.
security. Are you willing to get off of your 8-hour shift as a bookkeeper and then stream for 3 hours? And can you do it every single day? And if the answer is like, if you want to do it as a hobby, do it as a hobby. Don't expect to get a single viewer ever. If you want to do it as
Mhm.
a business, understand that it is indefinite time. That still probably is not going to happen unless you know
Yeah.
somebody, or you get on at a company and you kind of build out from there. Like that's what happened with me. So
Solid advice.
it's scary.
Yeah.
It is. It's
The truth hurts.
saturated. Like the real people at the top of that list have been doing Twitch since it was not Twitch.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they've been in it for like over 9 years or whatever, how long Twitch
Yeah.
has been on. So
It's
yeah, I think
you'll get
realistic expectations is a good one.
yeah, kids that see Ninja. It's like cool. It took Ninja 8 years of incredibly hard work, endless
Mhm.
work ethic as a pro elite gamer,
Mhm.
playing what was at the time the biggest game in the history of video games, being the best at it, and collaborating with the biggest
Yeah.
hip hop artist in the world at the time. That is what took the news to acknowledge a streamer.
Mhm.
And I think that if you can't and a 15-year-old is like, I want to be like Ninja. And it's like, okay. I hope that we can start, a positive discourse about what that really means and what the work takes. So, um,
Mm.
but
I have
besides
like
that,
a sorry.
besides that, be an anomaly. Make stuff that no one else is making.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
The
chatting, just
the
chatting is your friend.
truth of truth.
Yeah. Uh, if you can find it, and if somebody is doing it, what are you doing that's better? How are you
Yeah.
making it more interesting?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you this, and don't know, Dan, if you've already had this kind of question already here, but earlier on in our conversation, Sean, you had mentioned that like you were sort of almost guiding somebody about like how to do Twitch, or I think you'd mentioned something about almost like mentorship. I
Mhm.
was going to ask you, with the future of like content creation and how it's going, a lot of people obviously will come away from streaming or YouTube or anything like that, after a certain time or at a certain age. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Would you would you see the future of either yourself, or do you think that there will be this future where people will start, especially those older content creators, and I don't mean older in age, I just mean like they've been doing it a long time, that they would start maybe their own companies to be like, I'm going to help you with
Yeah.
your content? Is that kind of what you're doing now with, say, for example, PETA?
I mean, PETA just kind of learns the training. We do discuss like how to communicate, how to support the channel, driving donations and tips and subs, how to stay on, for an audience, not fake, but be present.
Yeah.
That's something that is, I really try to instill, which he had already, right, as a streamer himself. But uh I think that the biggest streamers, you look at like Jack's Epic Eye and stuff. Um, he's got like a coffee company, right? I think
Yeah.
that like the smartest streamers are Ninja. He could quit whenever he wanted to. His out was Mixer, right?
Sure.
Same thing with Shroud and stuff like that. Now it's just they're just living life, having a great time, right? Tim the Tap Man, he got his bag from YouTube, right? Awesome. Way
Yeah.
to kill it. Now he's just streaming, having a good time. And as you can see, he's invested in, I can't remember who it was, but he's now bought a company, right? Uh, I think that these big streamers, they're just looking for their out so they can play video games and have a good time. That's all anybody wants to do as a content creator, right?
Mm.
Uh, but I think, like I said, Mr. Beast, he's got a consulting company. I've used an associate of Mr. Beast for YouTube consulting. Um, I
That's
I've
cool.
made I've made a I have a streamer school. I've written a curriculum for it. I just haven't. I've never told anybody this.
Ah,
But I have.
aha! Here we
Breaking
are getting the
news.
nuggets.
Aha.
Yeah.
I have an 8-hour streaming seminar. I've written the entire curriculum. I've built it over the past year and a half. I think 2 summers ago I sat down and I built a curriculum. Um, it's like I just don't know. I ran tests with about 20 creators. I've ran it like 6 or 7 times. Uh, just don't. I don't know. At the end of the day, it comes down to you can show people how to technically set up, but looking at the curriculum and after writing it, it really just it's hard to figure out how to structure it to where there's no catch all to teach somebody how to be a content
Sure.
creator. It needs to be. I'm trying to split it and make it to where it's like technically you can't sell how to technically set up a stream. You have friends, you have YouTube. The information's free all the time. You can't sell you can't really sell, do you really want to do this for a living as a
Mhm.
seminar? You can't sell me trying to talk you out of streaming because it's almost impossible.
Mhm.
And you can't really sell here's how to be likable
Yeah.
and and
True.
and here's how to be an entertainer, right? Because there are streamers out there that are just sitting there playing a game and they don't care about the audience. They're not saying anything. They're not
Mhm.
particularly good at the game, and they just don't understand um, that they're not fun to watch. It's
Yeah.
I don't mean that as cruel as it sounds, but
I
the
get
one
you
of
though.
but it's
You can't
like
catch lightning in a bottle. You can't teach that to somebody. They had
yes,
just have to
Yeah.
have it. I understand.
yes, and
I
even
think
go
oh,
ahead.
I was
I'm
gonna say,
sorry.
like, I'm more in the, like, frame of mind, like, do you see maybe even yourself or other creators becoming almost like a talent agency, like someone who will just, like, spot that person who is talented, who is doing that, but they're not doing it the right way, and you're like, "Jesus, if you only just did this, you could
Jesus.
grow."
Jesus.
Jesus,
Yeah,
if you just did this.
that's who you're talking to. It was
His
Jesus,
name
he's
is
screaming like,
Jesus.
Yeah.
no, it just you know what I mean? Like, you just be like, "If you just did this way, you could grow exponentially, and you could do this, and your potential is here and here." Because I
Yeah.
know I think didn't Pokimane somehow, recently come out to say that she was going to be starting some sort of talent agency like that, and I'm just wondering, like, I wonder if that's the future of those content creators on YouTube. I wonder if
Yeah.
they're going to turn it inwards and start sheltering or
Kind of like
mentoring new
America's Got
talent.
Talent streamer edition.
Yeah. I
It's more
mean,
just like an agency, like an acting agency
there
or a model agency. You pick them up and you sort of culture them into
yeah.
something greater.
I think, yeah, I mean, that's been a business prop that we've had for a while. Like we used to talk in the
Oh,
past about doing like a 24-hour channel and like using them like DJ spots, right? But
cool.
that comes with scale. I think like
Sure.
Pokemon's there. If you've got 15,000 people watching you, I think that's doable. And I think there's like a model for that. I guess it's like I think it's hard because it's hard because viewership doesn't mean you make money.
Hmm.
True.
The support, the conversion rate, the subs, the ad integrations mean you make money, and the contact. You can have 14,000 people watching and not have like a contact. Sponsors just be like whatever, or you could. Um, but yeah, I think if like this a streamer could find if they like people in their community that are doing it and they want to give them a platform. I mean, growing on Twitch is as simple as going to Mizkif's house. I'm just waiting for an invitation.
Yeah,
Um,
it's in the mail. It's gotten lost in the DMs.
but yeah, from that kind of perspective, it could be like a hey, I'll teach you. I would teach people how to monetize. I would teach people how to say to be
Ah, okay.
comfortable in saying, "Hey, audience, this is a business. I would like for you to pay me," and
Yeah.
communicating that in a way that's approachable and fun. Because that's the difference between us and other streamers of our size. We straight up basically ask for donations and tips and subs because it pays our salary, it pays for our office and all that stuff. And our audience knows that transparency is really important.
Getting
Um,
comfortable
Mhm.
to do the ask too. Like
yes,
that's a
yes.
it's a big factor and kind of like a hurdle you gotta get to be able to say, like, please give me money essentially for
Yeah.
doing this.
But I would talk about what value proposition is and how to give back to your audience if they're paying you, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I could see a situation like that where you front them. I've had this exact conversation as a matter of fact where you front a content creator. Here's a good camera, a good mic. Here's a monetization method that you can do. But like besides collaborate, post everywhere that you
Mhm.
can. Um, don't sign affiliate deals with Twitch. Don't please don't do that. Um, stream everywhere until you know where your audience is. Do not sign exclusivity when you have 2 viewers. It does not make any sense.
Mhm.
Um, and and pour yourself into it. There's no actual advice besides a big streamer using their channel to grow another channel.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a leg up that like we have like 300 people watching right now. It's like we could grow a channel to 50, 60 viewers, I think, right?
Right.
Pokimane or Tim the Tatman, Dr. Disrespect, Shroud, they could take
Mhm.
in a really fun pro gamer that plays with them, and they could probably grow the next big streamer, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
that's
don't
true.
know. I don't know how they monetize that. Besides taking portions of ad deals or taking like a bounty on sponsorships they bring. Uh, but if if Pokimane did a talent agency, for instance, where she finds 10 streamers, right, and she can grow them to 1,000, and she's like, cool. Well, since I've fronted you this money and giving you this, my talent agency takes 20% of all of your brand activations, And that is
Mhm.
awesome. That's awesome mailbox money, right? And the catharsis of growing creators, right?
Yeah. And that's just what I think, like, I mean, I don't know, I just think about this stuff late at night when I'm just staring at the ceiling.
Yeah.
When I'm like, what is the future of Twitch? Like, what is the future of Twitch, especially for like, content creators that are going to be like coming towards like, parts in their life when they're like, dang, I just want to settle down. I just want to like, play occasionally. And like you say, they're gonna get into other markets or their profits, like
Yeah.
a coffee company or merchandise or investing in a different company and stuff. And I just think like that would be a cool future for the bigger content creators and just
Yeah.
content creators in general with a larger audience, which is what Couch Soup is doing, like here on couchsoup.com. Like what they've done was like they started as Retro Replay and they've completely rebranded and transformed into a like a content nurturing channel where they
Yeah.
will take your
Mhm.
pitch and help you grow towards something because they're experts in their field, Emmy award winning producers, they've got marketing, they've got everything behind them, like they have all that skill. I'm just wondering if that's like that really is the future of those kind of channels or creators or contents
Yeah.
on
I think
YouTube. It'd be
I
kinda cool.
think like in regards to like Tim the Tatman and or not Doctor Disrespect because he got banned, but
Mhm.
Tim the Tatman, it's like he can now stream on YouTube. First off, I think YouTube live streaming is maybe the future. Their head just left, but YouTube is
Ah,
if YouTube cares about the money they're spending, which it's Google money, so they may not. YouTube live streaming might be the future, right? But I think one of the reasons they take those deals is because they can stream. They're not required to stream as much.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, I think like Jack's coffee company, like that's where the money is, right? That's where his well, maybe not right now, but like that's where the
Mhm.
future of Jack is
yeah,
besides really awesome like returns on residual YouTube videos and his Twitch streams and stuff. So
yeah,
um like the goal for us as a company is like I wish we had 10,000 people watching and we had, you know, 20,000 tier 1 subs a month and it's covered. I never say, "Hey, let's kill these hearts or let's go for a time extension. Let's get a sub push." I never want to say that stuff.
yeah,
Um I want to just be live, make money to live and operate. And again, like it's different for us as well because it's not like don't keep the money in a fucking mattress, right? Like this goes into payroll and health insurance and benefits
mhm,
and office and 5 salaries and you know Chase's wife's health benefits and that guy's got kids and stuff. So
yeah,
um like there's stakes for us, right? We have to drive tips and donations. But the dream is to be like, cool, Mixer just paid me 10 million and I get to pocket that. Mixer shut down. I'm coming back to Twitch. I'm gonna play Fortnite because I don't give a
yeah,
shit. You know,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
which is basically what Ninja did, right?
That's exactly what
Essentially.
Yes,
Ninja.
that's
That's
exactly what he did.
exactly yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly what. But you know, right
Mixer
now,
who?
yeah. But yeah, I think the goal is just gamer creators just want to play what we want to play, make cool stuff,
Absolutely.
and not worry about money.
Yeah.
That's why the scalability is important. But yeah,
Sure.
Mm. If
Thanks.
I can try to close this out and take us home,
sorry,
I'll. No, man, it's all good.
Not at all.
It's
it's
been
like an hour and 40
great.
minutes. I'm a
Okay,
yeah.
well,
Uh,
I was like, how much longer do we think we can squeeze out of him? Like, this is great crack.
yeah, this is great.
No, you have
Absolutely.
stuff to do. You have stuff to do.
The bigger struggle would be me trying to make sure with Drew that I can get away with an hour and 40-minute long episode of the
You could
podcast.
you could chop it. You could just remove all the Last of Us 2 stuff. I don't know. You could
We'll
chop it
see.
into 2 episodes.
I'm sure it
That's
could.
true. Very true. Look at this
Yeah.
Absolutely.
guy.
Yeah. I'm
I've
a
done it
producer.
before.
Content creating head
I've done
on
it
me.
before. We did it with Drew the first time Drew came on.
We actually did. That was
Yes.
great crack as well.
But I
Oh,
wanted to turn it back on you and Hang Time. And one of the last things I wanted to check with you is like recently with the Hang Time podcast, you've had some really cool content creators on there, like Khalif Adams and Blessing, uh,
oh, cool.
Bruce
I'll have to go
Green,
check
which
that
I
out.
actually helped with a Bruce Green interview for Couch Soup as well. Like
Mhm.
some really great people to talk to. And I'm wondering if that's like a format that you guys want to keep doing or is it going to go back
Yeah.
to more the in the studio with the gang kind of thing?
Ultimately, that is an attempt to front load the channel with collabs, and also since we will be having our giant sub push and a move into the new studio over the course of like 2 months, I was trying to front load content. Construction got delayed on our studio, so I'm having to
Mm,
do studio episodes again, right? But
Oh.
collaboration is the key to growth here. The channel's grown okay. It's got like, I think we're coming up on like 2,000 subs. I was kind of hoping to have hit 4 or 5, especially with the degree of
yeah.
the fame of people we've collabed with. Uh, but I was really just doing all those one-on-ones to really posture and have 2 months of podcasts ready, which we still do. But the format typically will be us on a couch in our new studio,
Mm,
uh, or at a table, or I don't know what our podcast set's going to look like yet, but it'll be us in studio doing that weekly, and we will have guests on.
nice.
But I really just wanted to, honestly, with our rebrand and our changes over the year, we've been a lot more vocal about a lot of socio-political issues, and a lot more active in standing up for human rights. And I wanted guests on like Greg Miller and Lawrence and BB Jess and stuff. I wanted guests on that could teach any audience that came over from the old YouTube channel to the podcast channel of like, this is what hang time's going to be like. Right. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to collab with those, to kind of draw a line of like, hey, you can expect us to talk about, you know, politics and human injustice on this channel. So get
Mhm.
ready.
Set that
Uh
standard.
yeah, exactly. Set a good standard. But yeah.
Interesting, I don't think I've seen that before. I don't think I've seen an open discussion of that, but that's probably just me and my sheltered consumer content, type thing, so, that sounds interesting to me.
No, I would recommend you go watch the Greg Miller podcast if you're interested about
Yeah.
it. Kind of funny is like, to me, an incredible leader in not being afraid of alienating audience
Mm,
Ah.
to uh and I would advise, if you want content creator tips, I would say that if you're passionate about something, I mean, I guess this is advice for what I would consider assholes too. Um, you're gonna foster the audience that is there for the authentic you. Don't bullshit, because in a couple of years they're gonna find out what you really like, and you're either gonna have an audience that has known all along and they have your back, or they're gonna be pissed. So,
Mhm.
uh,
That that's not too far off from Couch Soup's motto. It's the unfiltered pop culture, and that's
yeah,
something that, like, as we've been kind of brought into the fold as a podcast as well as contributors for the website, what they want from us is the real us. Like,
yeah,
don't sugarcoat things. Don't be a dick, but also, give us your true and full opinions on
yeah.
different material.
Yeah, authenticity, it's like, Wendy's, they're like, "Quality is our recipe." I like to say that authenticity is like Hang Time's recipe, and I think, uh, I think that's like a revolution that's happening with content creators. You see a lot more content clips now of like, it used to be like, "Don't feed the trolls," and it's like, "No, tell the trolls to go fuck off and then ban them from
Yeah.
every single channel you have."
Mm.
Um, and like, I don't know. I think it's incredible that content creators are now curating their channels and cultivating, because I don't
I don't
want
want
some,
toxicity either. Like, I don't
yeah,
want that. Go
yeah.
away.
No.
And it's
I
like
like it's like the rise of the unban forums, the unban requests
yes,
on
Mm.
YouTube. Yeah,
yeah. And it's
quality
like you
content.
it's like, well, you're not being inclusive. It's like, no, I just would never hang out with you, so you don't get to be on my channel. Like, I consider our
Sure.
channel like a party. It's like, it's my house. It's our house. If I would actively avoid you at a party, um, then I'll just ban you. Like, I don't want you here. It's easy.
You seem like a dick. Click
Yeah.
banned.
I
Okay.
don't wanna
Yeah.
be around you. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Great. Well, I think we've taken enough of your time today, sir. It's been an excellent chat. Loving the random down the rabbit hole Last of Us conversation,
Yeah.
by the
Sorry.
way. Like, it's all good. I very much appreciate it.
Oh.
But yeah, I wanted to make sure that we, shout out your channel. It's HangTime on Twitch as well as YouTube. You've got the HangTime Raw and HangTime podcast as well.
And the HangTime
Uh,
Crew channel, which is going to be relaunching when we're in the office. So if you go to youtube.com/HangTime Crew, there's only a couple of videos on it. I've unlisted all the content. But as soon as we start building our new studio, that's going to be the first video on there, and then you'll start seeing some more uploads. We also have hangtime.gg, which is our website where you can buy merch, get some more information about us, and you can book commissions. You can actually fund an entire stream of a game of your
Right.
choice. Kind of like a tattoo session, only it's
Cool.
us live streaming for our audience, and you've basically been the sponsor.
Because you guys are doing the first one of those this weekend, correct?
Yeah, on Sunday we're gonna have our
Yeah.
first commission. It's pretty cool. We're playing Obra
Nice.
Dinn. So if it's like if you have like an indie game or Croc or
Like Croc.
exactly,
Yeah.
and it would never normally show up on our channel. You can basically fund it and
Nice. That's a really cool
pay
idea.
for it. Yeah, I hope it works out. I think it'll be fun. So
All right. And then just to close us out, thank you for coming and talking with us today, Shaun. Really appreciate your time. It's been a great chat. For those of you guys watching, if you want to write us, you can reach us at the replayerpodcast@gmail.com. And be sure to check out all the content over at couchsoup.com, where you can listen to this podcast while you read the interview with Shaun, and you can learn more about HangTime. So be sure to check us out over there. I'm Dan. Thank you, Pagan. Thank you so much for joining us and talking with us today.
Thank
Shaun,
you,
it's been
Shaun.
a great pleasure.
It's been unreal.
And that for us at the Replayer Podcast is what we call game over.
Bye. Just
Uh,
do I wave at the camera?
bye.
Do I look into the camera?